Your dad, who worked and lived in West Virginia, and they were talking about a West Virginia governor candidate, and then they were arguing from Lewis Coe's perspective, who lived in Ohio. So, but he must have paid attention to West Virginia politics.
Well, it was a political discussion, and I think there was a lot of disagreement. And my father had made this statement during the evening, not the evening, but during the evening there at the house for dinner. It didn't go over very well, so it kind of went south quickly. And
I'm going to head for Charles.
Ohio Coast decided it had enough, and they went home.
Yeah. Be careful.
Yeah, that's a colorful story.
They didn't talk to each other.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they had two cops at 2/3 pulled over.
Which is always sad, but I know eventually they did talk again.
50.5 and
When we visited you guys, and I have so many, I remember one visit to Spruce Street, and Janice told me last night that house has been torn down. And then many visits to the big brick, the old brick house up on the hill, and then finally Lee Street. So I just have so many, but I remember that on Sunday morning it's time to go back to Lodi, Ohio, and every time your dad and my dad would be standing out there in the driveway by the car, and they'd have a road map open, because it seems like every time they were trying to find the newest, easiest way to get back to Ohio.
My dad would get lost every time he'd try to find Lodi, probably.
Well, I don't know about that, but he knew the West Virginia end of the map pretty well. Because I remember one time he said, "Well, you want to go up there? No, they're working on Sutton Dam. You don't want to go that way, but you want to go that way and go down through Glenville, you know." So, and speaking of Glenville, I think I visited you once in Glenville.
Yes, you did.
Hang on one.
I'm heading back.
Okay. I'll see you again. Then. Thank you. We'll be in touch. Thanks so much.
That's when you shot the long Tom shotgun. Was in Glenville.
You and I surprised Grandma on her birthday, and you were home because that was December. It was great. And you and you took me out this way somewhere, I think. That was a 16-8 gauge double barrel shotgun. Yeah.
Single barrel.
Oh, was it single?
Yeah.
I just remember this. All you had to do was breathe on that trigger, and you got a shot off. That I never had seen a hair trigger like that before.
Are you recording this, Debbie?
I think we ended up shooting at inanimate objects because we didn't see. Our intention was to get rabbit or squirrel.
Squirrels.
Was it squirrel? Well, they knew we were coming.
Yeah.
But do you remember where that was? Because I don't know if I could ever find that. It was kind of on this side of Summersville.
Yeah.
But I had never been there before.
Were you near Summersville Lake?
I really don't clearly
It was
remember.
built.
Oh, it was already built then. Oh yeah, because this was 1980.
Yeah.
And you know what? I don't know if you were still at Glenville or if you were working on your master's degree down in where was that?
1980.
Nitro?
No, it was in Huntington.
Oh, that's right. You were at Marshall.
Yeah.
So I don't know where you were in 1980. What year did you graduate from high school?
1976.
Oh, so you were probably just finishing up at Glenville.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
So you'll get a copy of it.
Another story I remember you telling me, we were talking about snakes. We always talk about snakes, and there's just something about snakes.
Yeah.
And you
The
told
biggest snakes up on the ridge, where they hung up the snakes and the long snakes and stuff like that, and they had a picture. Good old time story.
Yeah, out of the newspaper.
Out of the
and stuff.
newspaper, yeah.
You attended a church service once around Crupperneck.
Yes, I did.
And you told me that the preacher had a box up there, and that at some point during the service, he opened up that box because there was a snake in there.
Well, there was a friend of mine in Summersville Baptist Church that went to church there, and we were talking there, and he says, "Well, why don't we try something different this time?" So we went to this church, which is the Crupperneck, and we go in and we see these baskets that are down in front of the altar or whatever you want to call it. And I kind of thought, well, maybe they had food in there or something. I don't know. So we go in there and they start with some guitar music and stuff like that, and a little bit of tambourine and stuff. And then finally one of these guys reached down and he pulls out a copperhead, a snake out of it. So I looked at my friend and I said, "I don't know what you're going to do, but I'm leaving right now."
Was your friend surprised, or was he expecting
No,
it?
he just, I think he did that to kind of, you know, he knew what was going on in that church. 'Cause
Was he testing your faith?
he tested it enough to where I left.
Did Grandma ever know you did that?
Yes.
What did she say?
Well, she just, you know, she was an old style person, you know, and I mean, you go up in that part of the
So it
country,
didn't
it was
surprise
just
her,
snakes
sure.
all over the place, you know, and you know that. You've been up in, you know, Cranberry Ridge and all those areas, there's snakes there. And she was used to it, and that's where she grew up.
Even going to church?
Huh?
Even going to church?
No, she went to church in Summersville for a while, and then I don't know, she just tended not to go to church after that. I think in her own mind she was old, and
Yeah, and they weren't.
well, and she just, and this is kind of a hard thing for men to understand, but she didn't feel like she was attractive anymore, or
Oh, all right,
for whatever
yeah.
reason and stuff, you know, and she was older, and I remember she was really afraid that her sons would end up with the wrong woman or wife or whatever, and she was really almost to the point where, like I said, when we went up the golf course and there was no women up there, that was one of the best things that she could, between me and my father, that she liked that. So I think she was just worried too that when she's getting older, you know, are we replacing her or not, type of situation. So, yeah. Because I know she never hardly got out of the house.
Nah,
She never drove, did she?
no.
No. That's what I remember about her. She smoked a lot.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
she did.
So did my dad. I remember when we had to paint the inside of the house.
When she had her heart attack and died, didn't she have? Wasn't she smoking then?
I don't know. I can't remember that part of it. Maybe she smoked. She
Well, I wouldn't be
smoked
surprised. But
Kind of
she
sat
Long
down at
time.
the kitchen
unfiltered
table.
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But she was a giver.
Yes.
This is a woman that not only raised her own family, but took in, there was a James Coe
Yeah.
that lived with him because he was Uncle Oris's son, and his mother died.
Yeah.
And I love the stories about how in the summertime they would trade households with the Givens, and so sometimes they'd live down on the Cranberry River,
Yeah.
and sometimes the Given kids, some of them would come up and live
Yeah.
with the Coes, you know, and then she ended up, you know, when most people are retired, she
Yeah.
ended up raising your entire family.
Right.
You know, she just never stopped giving.
Yeah. Well, it's a different time back then too. Not when you look at where we are today and how people reacted to the people around them in those times. You depended upon the people that were around you. They were your friends.
Yeah.
In this day and age, we have internet. We've got everything, and there's no real connection there. It's what there was back in the 40s and 50s and early 60s.
Just family cohesiveness. There's not a day I don't think of her.
Yeah.
And my other grandparents as well. And they definitely made me who I am. I mean, the values that I have.
Yeah, and if I'd never had my father, I wouldn't be playing golf. Most likely.
Well, yeah, that's true. Well, maybe.
That's
I don't
where I
know.
learned how to play golf.
And he started playing golf because he became a widower.
And
My dad kind of talked him into
And I
it.
forget who, but somebody actually, it might have been your father, who gave him that set of golf clubs.
My dad just thought it was the best therapy for him.
Yeah, that's right. So that's something that your father did for my father, and it passed on to me.
But you know, when I think of how young your mother was and having 4 kids,
Yeah.
I'm just worn out.
Yeah.
What else you got to say about being a co?
Yeah.
Because you are a co.
Yeah.
There's no
Yes,
doubt
I am.
about that.
I don't deny it. So
Yeah.
don't deny it.
You are
I'm
cool.
glad to be.
When my mom would get a little upset with my dad,
Yeah.
that was the insult she would hurl.
Pretty stubborn, aren't we?
Well, I think that was part of it, and he wouldn't. When he was mad, he wouldn't talk.
Yeah.
And she was raised in a family and with Irish genes that when they were
Yeah.
mad, they talked and yelled and
Yeah.
screamed
Yeah.
until it got out of their system. It just drove her nuts that when she could tell my father was upset about something and
Yeah.
he wouldn't say anything, and Kate could probably learned a lot more to that. So,
And my wife's shaking her head, yes.
Yeah, we just, you know, you've made a you've met us all, because we were all, it's not hard.
well, sometimes I disagree with that.
Yeah, okay. There's very few exceptions. Janice and Linda were two of the exceptions.
Yeah.
Janice, I sometimes don't think she had a mean bone in her body. And Linda,
Yeah.
they're just, because I was telling them, I remember when Jerry and Linda lived over in part of Akron, and they'd come over. One time Jerry come over and he had his mom in the back seat, and Linda and and Daddy and I are standing there and we're looking, and he's just shaking his head, and Jerry gets out and he's wearing that muscle T-shirt, and my father just, my father just looked at him, and then Linda got out of the car and Daddy's face just like the sun just rose right in Dad's face. He was just so happy. Him and Linda went inside. Jerry and his mother outside, and they never went in the house.
Yeah, Jerry was a problem.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I don't know if Dad had heard a lot, and I know he heard some, but he just. There's just something about Jerry that just rubbed him the wrong way. Jerry was never in our house. Dad wouldn't let him in.
8 minutes.
No,
Hey, Dave.
no.